Hi Daniella and welcome. Thank you so much for coming today. I just want you to explain a little bit about yourself, tell people who you are, a little bit about your background, where you went to school and what you do now.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Well, hi Lisa, thank you so much for inviting me to speak. So in terms of who I am and where I've come from, I was born in the UK, so I was born in London, but of African origin. So my parents were both from Sierra Leone. And we grew up as the only black family in Putney, it would seem.
Right.
So my experience growing up in London in sort of the 80s and the 90s was really of being an African family in a sort of largely white area. In some ways that was great. So everyone knew who you were, everyone knew if family turned up, whose house to go to. In other ways, that was quite difficult, being in school and even as a young child having to explain to people why your skin was different from their skin, but how that somehow didn't make you different from other people as well. So I was very lucky, I got a scholarship to a private school, and I think that was really instructive for me again, just providing me with lots of opportunities to learn, to really push myself to do a lot better than perhaps might have been expected from the world around me. That in itself, I went to university where I met my husband. And by the time I was 19, I was pregnant with my first daughter. So a life that probably felt like it was going on a particular path and track changed quite a lot quite soon. But what was really positive about being a young mother, and I won't pretend that it was easy, was learning what I was capable of very quickly and being responsible for somebody else. My eldest daughter, who is now 20, really taught me about everything that I did was a lesson for her as well as a lesson for me as well. And so through my work, through my study, doing various things from hand to mouth to working in the city, I now find myself both studying but also Chief Executive of the Woman of the World Foundation as well, which is a fantastic organisation that works for the empowerment of women and girls around the world.
Fantastic. That's great. So, you said when you went to school you were different, but you actually then got a scholarship and worked really well there and ended up going to university. Did you know what you wanted to do at university?
Funny enough, I think when I went into university I had a vague idea that I want to work in an advertising agency, which is odd because my work is now based in an advertising agency even though I don't work in advertising. But I didn't really know anything about that. I think one of the challenges I think of being an immigrant's child is you've got probably 3 careers, and my career was law. So I was good at reading and writing, so that was what my parents had sort of set out that I should do. But I knew that I wanted to do something that made an impact in the world, but I didn't really know how. So through my studies, I actually studied politics. It was about finding out about how the world works, finding out about myself, but I didn't really have a big master plan. I just knew that I wanted to be good at what I did, and I wanted to make an impact somehow.
So how did you progress your career through? Was it just experiencing different things, or was it something that you just felt, this is what this is something I'm called to? Like you said, you knew that you wanted to make a difference in the world. How did you steer your career to where you are now?
So I think what's really important for anyone that's young or anyone that's thinking, oh my goodness, I've got all of these dreams and I don't know what I'm doing. I started work as a mother. So very much my objective was singular. I have to pay my bills, and I have my mouth to feed, and I have my daughter's mouth to feed, and that's what I did. And every single day I was grateful to be in work. So any training that came my way, I couldn't believe that people were willing to train me to do something new. I put my hand up. Any job that I was doing was no job was too dirty, no job was like too menial. I was just grateful that someone was paying me to do a job. And through that, I didn't come through a sort of a golden graduate scheme. I didn't go into big firms. I literally started in call centers and admin. And through doing work, I got more work. People, that's if you want to do more work, and then that's how you get more responsibility. And by the time I was like 25, 26, I thought I was left behind. I did, I just did the jobs that I could do. But actually, what I found was that by making any job meaningful, whether you're sat on reception, and I've sat on reception, reception can be the most important job, no matter how big the company is. Whether you are filing paperwork or you are checking through numbers, and that was what taught me about making impact through my work, was through the people that you work with, being respectful to the people that you work with, and really bringing the most out of your job, and doing that, you know, sincerely. And through that, I learned what I liked. I learned what I enjoyed, which was actually project management, which I think is a fantastic job for any woman, because you know, most women are project managers.
This is true.
Whether you know it or not, and that was just a great way to be able to deliver and to show the world that I could do it, you know, and it was just, it's one foot in front of the other, but with that kind of core principle of I'm going to try the best in any job that I do, and I'm going to be respectful of the environment that I'm in. So, and you know, the great thing is that anyone can do that, no matter what job you're doing.
Yeah. So then when you did progress and you started getting into managerial positions, how did you find that? Was it like what you expected? Were there different challenges?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was a terrible manager. I was a terrible manager. I was promoted far too early. You know, so by the time I was like 25, 26, I was managing like 12 people, managing people older than me, managing like, you know, people on reception and like help desks. And I didn't know what I was doing. I genuinely thought that if I was just nice to everyone, then everything would be fine, because I was nice and couldn't understand why that didn't work. And in fact, for me, I really wanted to learn, which is why I went to do an MBA. And I learned that there is a skill to management and there were different elements to it. And it's not technical, but actually, if you want to bring something, it's not about being the boss. It's about bringing the best so that people can do the best work that they can do. Sometimes that means that you've got to give feedback, and that might be negative feedback. Sometimes that means that you've got to set priorities, and that also means that you've got to, a lot of the times, lead from the front, which means that it's not about everything as a battle, but you've got to take responsibility. And I think that process of growing up, I would hope that I'm a better manager now, and I hope that I'm still nice in some ways, but I recognise that management is more than just about being nice to people and hoping for the best.
Yes. Oh, great. So right now you said that you're the director of WOW Foundation, which is amazing, and they do great work in terms of promoting women. But how have you found in your work career being promoted as a woman? I know you said you got promoted far too early, but is that what you've come across as a norm for you, or was that just one experience?
I mean, everyone has their own experience. For me, I think it was a great learning curve, because you've just got to take that moment and learn. But I had to back it up with other things, with education, with experience, with reflection. I think often people sort of fight to get to the top, and I think you will get to where you get to at the time when you're ready to be able to get there and to be able to handle that. And all of it will be training. So if you're sat there today thinking, oh, you know, I want to be that manager and I want to be at the top, this is your training time. Look, think about what you would do differently. I've seen people who've been promoted really quickly, and actually it hasn't worked out for them. And I've seen people who've taken that time and have matured and have done amazing jobs when they get there as well. It isn't a race. There's no one quick fix. You know, at this age you've got to be at this point, and at that age you've got to be that point. You know, you will get to where you get to. And I think learning the skills, learning your craft, I genuinely think that good management is a craft. And if you learn that, then, you know, once you get to where you get to, you will just roll and shine. You know, and I see it all around me. I see so much potential in young women, young men, and I think, gosh, you know, you're going to change the world, each and every one of you in your own way. You know, once you're ready, you're going to be ready to fly, and it's a wonderful thing to see. It's a wonderful thing to see.
So what is it that supported you in your career, in terms of your development and creating who you are today, really?
I think my mother. So, you know, I mean, probably I'm not unique in calling out to my mom, who has just been an amazing, steadfast believer in me. Even when my career took me in directions where I wasn't sure, and my mother would say, well, what is it that you really wanted to do?
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't have to be something that's big and shiny and it's got lights on. Is it really what you want to do? Because if not, then maybe you need to take a turn. And that has been just an absolute inspiration for me, of somebody who is proud of me so long as I am proud of myself. So that's a great thing to have behind you. Once you've got that in the bank, you know, I think you've got a winning hand. But also all of the people that have supported me, you know, women who picked me out from the admin pool, you know, when I was like, you know, 22 and shuffling papers, and said, you have something. And I'd think, I don't know what you're talking about, but saying, you know, I want you to be able to do this job, from someone coming to find me and saying, I want you to do my maternity leave, you know, my maternity cover when I go. It's just amazing, you know, thinking this is an opportunity. So my first big project was because a woman put me there, and I said, I don't think I can do the job, and she said, I know you can. You know, that's, you know, so many women who've paid it forward for me to get to where I am. And I think there's this myth about, you know, women don't work well with other women. I think competition is what it is. I think, you know, and we've got to be prepared for that. But I think all of that chain of support that reinforces the idea that actually so much of the work that we do is teamwork. And when you feel that, and when you understand that and how that works, we all work better. And so I really give thanks to all the people that, you know, brought me in and made me part of their teams.
Yeah, that's great. So if you had to give some advice to somebody else at the moment who is thinking, what am I going to do now? I want to progress, but I'm not sure what to do. What advice would you give them?
I would say do some reflection, first of all, and be sure on what it is that you want to progress in. You know, don't worry too much about what other people are doing, and be really clear on that. I am completely unashamed about talking about money, for example. So is it that you need to earn a certain amount? Then where do you need to be in order to be able to do that? Don't necessarily think about spending a lot of money on an expensive course. It might be a bit of a pivot. So maybe you work in accounts, you're junior in accounts. Can you do that in a job that's in a different industry that might pay you more, that's got a better career path, for example? Or can you shift into another environment that suits your lifestyle more? Maybe you've got responsibilities, caring responsibilities, for example, but just allows you to be the best version of you that you have to be. Not everybody is going to want to work in an investment bank. Quite frankly, a lot of people who work in investment banks don't want to be there. So, you know, you can outsmart the system by really thinking what's going to make you the person that you want to be, and then allowing that to come through in your work. Because when you do, actually you're both great at what you do, you're a great employee as well. So, you know, those are the people that I just call assets. So so to summarize, how can you make yourself a real asset?
Yeah, that's great. And throughout this, I know you said you've had support of your mum, and I'm sure you've had, like you said, people helping you up along the way and supporting you. But if you had to pick out 3 successful leadership traits, what would they be? That would you say, for me, these were my 3 traits that helped me along the way?
Okay. So I think listening is a really important skill, and listening with your ears, but also listening to what people are telling you, because people don't always feel comfortable telling you that as well. And I think it's really important as a leader to be able to respond to what your team are telling you, what your environment's telling you as well. I think similarly, humility is really, really important. Far too many people, it's far too easy to plow ahead. You said you were going to do this, now I'm going to do this, this is what we're going to do, whether it's the right thing to do or not. And the humility to be able to stop, pause, reflect, and say, do you know what? I got this wrong. That's a rare trait, but I think it's really important for leaders to keep themselves in check. And then the last part is actually slightly different from that, and I think that's about optimism. And I think if you are optimistic, I believe in people. I believe that we can make this world a better place. It sounds quite lofty, but actually if you are optimistic, people buy into that, and they buy into that hope. And if you can reflect that in your daily person, I think that's a good skill to be able to bring along.
It's fantastic. No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.